Welcome back to Dollars and Cents with Lindsey and Dennis. Today we are going to play a game. Dennis, aren't you so excited?
Oh, I just love games.
So we talk in some of our other videos about having insurance protection against certain events that might happen and saving for an emergency fund. So we thought we would take it a step further and give you guys some scenarios of clients that we've had in the past or just folks that we know of have run into these incidents. And I'm going to guess whether it's an insurance claim or an emergency fund situation. So I don't know what scenarios Dennis is going to give me. And I'm going to guess, and then we're going to just chat about them.
Right. So if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound?
Probably, but I have no idea.
But if your neighbor's tree falls in your yard, who's responsible? Your insurance company, your neighbor, or you?
Ooh. I want to say my neighbor's insurance if it falls on my yard because it was their problem, but I'm probably not going to like the answer because I'm probably wrong.
It depends. If it was a healthy tree and there's a storm happened to knock it over, that's considered an act of God, and no one's really responsible. Then it becomes who's going to clean it up. If it doesn't fall and damage anything, then it becomes you and your neighbor discussing it.
Oh, wow.
Which can be fun sometimes.
Yikes.
Now, if it's a defective tree, in other words, the tree's rotting out, it's dying, and the neighbor knows it's dying and doesn't do anything about it, then it's negligence on their part for not taking the tree down, and therefore their liability insurance would have to pay for that if they damaged any of your property, and they'd have to remove the tree.
So they have to be liable, though, for their insurance to cover it?
Right. And the liability always follows a person if they do something that is wrong. So basically, we have a prudent person doctrine in an insurance policy, which says that if a prudent person wouldn't do it, then, and you do it, you're liable. So here's an example. You don't have to go out in the middle of a blizzard to shovel the snow off your sidewalk. A prudent person doesn't do that. But within a reasonable amount of time after, you need to shovel your sidewalk. If your tree's damaged, a prudent person would take the tree down. If you don't take it down, then you're legally liable and negligent for not doing that.
Gotcha. So it really depends on some of those circumstances surrounding the event to decide whether it would be an insurance claim or I'd have to pay out of my emergency fund that I'm so diligently saving for within my budget.
There you go.
All right. Give me the next one.
Another one. Water in your basement.
You're not going to tell me what causes the water in my basement? It's just ambiguous?
Just water that seeps through the basement wall.
I'm going to say emergency fund. I don't know why, but I feel like that's my responsibility.
Absolutely correct.
Am I really?
You did.
We really had to clean up water once in my basement.
That's
it was
right.
not fun.
So water that seeps through your basement or seeps underneath your foundation, any water that flows across the ground and goes into your basement is not covered. That is either your emergency fund, and sometimes you can get flood insurance to cover it, but that's always an iffy situation. If there's water in your basement because a pipe breaks, then that would be covered. So any water that comes from a plumbing or heating system, even if the kids overflow the bathtub, that's still covered.
By insurance?
By insurance.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. My situation, it was not. We had tons of snow and it melted and it ended up in my basement on Christmas night, and we ended up having to clean everything out of the basement after Christmas festivities.
Merry Christmas, sounds like fun.
8 months pregnant. It was great. Yeah. But we did it.
This is another good reason why, to make sure that your gutters are clean, that there's nothing obstructing anything anywhere, that if your land's kind of pitched away from the house so that the water runs away, because water is a powerful thing. And it can, as we've had all this rain this year, like we mentioned earlier, that pressure pushes against your foundation and can start to crack it and seep in.
Absolutely. The ground can't absorb any more than it already has. So it can be a big problem. All right. You have another scenario for me?
Yes, this is the one that people need to think about. You have an oil tank in your basement, which provides the oil for your heating system, and you have a leak. Covered by insurance?
I'm going to say, since it has a leak, it's covered. But I don't know.
No, it's not. There's no coverage for your oil tank leaking in your basement. There is, however, a endorsement, that's what we talk about. Endorsement is a form that changes your policy or modifies your policy that adds that coverage. It's called escape fuel coverage. And you can get that coverage for typically $50 to $100 a year. Once you also have to have your tank inspected before you'll get the coverage. But let me just tell you, this just happened at my mother's old house, and we didn't have coverage for it. We were actually just about ready to replace the tank, and the oil man went down to take the old tank out, and it had leaked.
Ouch.
And even though it hadn't leaked 3 weeks earlier, it just all of a sudden started leaking. Not covered by our insurance, and I bet it's going to be somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000. So for $50 or $100 to buy the escape fuel coverage, it's a good deal. Plus, just the fact that you get your tank checked makes it a lot easier.
Absolutely. And that could wipe out your emergency fund. And if you don't even have your emergency fund established, that really can put you in a bad place.
Absolutely.
Pretty quickly.
Yes. How about one last one? Let's see. This one is a tree falls on your house. This actually happened to one of our customers. 1 o'clock in the morning, a huge tree about 3 feet and about 40 feet high, 3 feet wide, 40 feet high, falls right in the middle of their home.
Oh, gosh.
Now they can't live there. They have to move out. They have to fix the house. Covered by insurance?
It better be. That seems really expensive.
That's right.
Oh, thank goodness.
Not only does your insurance cover the damage caused by the tree, but it also pays for the extra living expenses if you have to live in a motel or hotel for a while, if they have to bring a trailer on the site for you to live in. In this case, because the people had animals, they wanted to be right there on the property, so we moved a trailer in for them, and they had to stay in the trailer for a couple months while they were getting the engineers out there, getting everything torn apart, and it was a mess. But they had coverage for the whole thing.
That's good to know that the insurance coverage is there, because it can really just be an easy way to wipe out your emergency fund, and even more devastating if you don't have enough in your emergency fund, really put you in a bad predicament.
Absolutely. These claims can be catastrophic.
All right, great. That was our last scenario for today.
That was it for today.
All right, stay tuned. I think that we should play this game a little bit more. Maybe we'll do a couple more episodes.
We can.
A fun game. As always, we recommend that you talk to a financial professional, or in some of these cases, an insurance professional,
right,
to make sure that you're covered and you're in the best shape depending on what your unique needs are.
And don't forget to start contributing to your emergency fund.
That's right. Until next time, our contact information's below.